Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Welcome back.
These people are doing an orderly evacuation.
Yeah, it's a good thing they can do it orderly.
They do seem pretty calm. So this is actually in Chile, guys. And as we see here, we had, well, there's different numbers being put out again, and there's reductions being put out. I saw this first as a 7.1. Here you see out of Strange Sounds, a 7.0 with USGS is currently calling it a 6.9. This is the second 7 in 2 days, and how big really are they too? Because, we can't really trust the system.
Oh, no, definitely not. They might be bigger than a 7, and to have a warning go off like that, that's interesting, crazy.
Yeah, 7.0 quake and aftershocks in Antarctica create panic. Officials create nationwide tsunami alert in Chile. But the only thing they really had to abandon, or evacuate, we should say, is their Bernardo O'Higgins Army Base. And so Antarctica, interesting. What's going on down there? When we hear anything going on in Antarctica, you gotta wonder, is there some sort of underground battles going on between pre-Adamites, giants, reptilians, Anunnaki?
I think there's a lot of interesting stuff there. We should remote view that.
Yeah, we should definitely. You can see where it is. It's right by the Drake Passage, right between the tip of, over here we have Chile, and then we have gosh, I'm going blank over there, Argentina. And over here we have basically Antarctica, and who knows what's under there. It's pretty interesting activity that's going on as well. If we jump over to the USGS, you can see, if we just get that one out of the picture, there's 9 altogether. So you have they're going to show it as a 6.9 right here. South Shetland Islands, 7.1 according to the watchers, and again, the downgrading service at work there. Lots of aftershocks at 5.4, 5.0, 4.9, 4.9, 4.9, 4.7, 5.5, 4.9. Very interesting times we are in for sure.
So it's behaving like it's something natural, but I don't know.
Yeah, and interesting that we have a 5.8 meanwhile over here, and this is in Chile, and then across from it was it this one, I think. We have Auckland Islands, and it's New Zealand, 5.8 as well, and a 5.2 up in Fiji, and we see a couple other quakes over here by Chile again. Interesting times. What's really going on? Antarctica. Ooh, that's one of the more mysterious places on the planet.
I know, and that's gotta double the curiosity whenever anything like that happens there.
It does. You really, really wonder, because all that talk of the bases. I mean, there's been so many things spotted by people like Mr. MBB and Florida Maki, that have, and so many others, countless others, that have, seen things that look like pyramids, look like landing strips, you name it.
And things that look like they went in for an emergency landing, like the skidding, and then a big bump there stopped.
Yeah, and then why did we have all the world leaders go down there, a few years back? And then why did we have the Pope go down there? And then why did we have the head of the Eastern Orthodox Church go down there? That gives you a clue that the earth is being run by somebody who is unseen and who is controlling its politics and religions.
And that's where we need to place our understanding to help make sense out of all this craziness.
And think about that again, politics and religion. Those two things we're not supposed to argue about or talk about, but those are the things that split us up and divide us more than anything.
And remember that. Don't forget that.
Total war zone. A Yosemite area hit hard by wind that toppled trees. What happens now? The wind's been pretty intense. It's been intense over here today too, and we're going to have too busy a day to really go for a hike today or anything. But I think it's one of those days where if you look at the temperature, you might dress a certain way, but then when the wind hits you, forget it, because it's brutal. It cuts through you. We've talked about the Chan Thomas story, the Adam and Eve story that was classified by the FBI and then declassified, or that was CIA actually. And that talked about when you get to the pole shift times, you might have winds between 300 and 1,000 miles an hour. And, I still see comments every single day on videos where people are saying, I'm going to stay here, for the time being till we get towards, the pole reversal where we're going to have the crustal displacement. And then I got to make sure I get into an area that has some caves, and we see it. We've traveled all through New Mexico and Colorado and Arizona, and we've seen a lot of cliff dwellings. We've shared some with you guys, and you'll find them in random places too, where there's just these, adobe dwellings built into a cliff. For some reason, people were escaping. And what's really interesting too is often they're pretty high off the ground, where you're only going to get up there if you had a ladder that's like 30, 40, 50 feet.
I know, it makes you wonder, what kind of fingers and toes did they have to crawl in and out of there?
Yeah, and then I think about Turkey, because Turkey in Anatolia, I mean, there's enough room underground to house hundreds of thousands of people. What were they escaping? Was it just earth changes, or were they escaping maybe non-benevolent beings that actually were landing? Let's go back to the Bible. Hey, look, everybody's united. Everybody on that planet's united. We can't have that. Come, let us go down there and scatter them. They're building a tower to the heavens, or maybe they were actually building, who knows? Maybe they were building ships to go to Mars at that time, or what have you. And, maybe it was more of a attack on humanity in a different way.
Well, I know, they definitely cannot have us not playing games with each other. They can't have us not hurting each other. They can't have us trusting each other. Or, wow, we might be quite a force to deal with.
I think that says it all right there. So when we look at the winds, we know that there's technology out there to basically augment, enhance, take a storm and turn it into a superstorm. So you got to wonder, what's really going on? We've talked about the Kardashev scale, and, that's a scientific scale talking about the type of power and ability extraterrestrial civilization would have at certain levels of time. This would be child's play. For beings that are 1,000 years ahead of us, this would be child's play, let alone tens of thousands, maybe even millions of years ahead of us. This is nothing. But this gives you an idea of perhaps, some of those biblical stories too, where, God gets angry and sends a flood. God gets angry and sends a plague. Interesting. And seeing strange things in the sky, and then all of a sudden the plague hits. Very curious.
I know, to think that something could manipulate the forces of nature isn't too far-fetched.
No, when we could do it ourselves with all the declassified info that we've seen. So, yeah, this is pretty intense storm, and we're seeing more and more of these intense windstorms. Emergency proclamation in Mariposa County as well. There's so much going on right now, and this gets into that, safe places. Well, where is the safe place? Well, maybe up in a ship, or maybe down inside the inner earth.
I kind of like inner earth, personally.
Yeah. Somebody had told me that recently, one of our family members, that they were moving from Vegas to southern Missouri, and by Branson, which the Ozarks is supposed to be a safe zone. But again, there's no perfectly safe zone. Yet they did share that there was over 6,000 caves there. Interesting, because there's also a lot of legends of Bigfoot and other things like that in that area. There's a lot of cryptids, cryptozoology, which we always love to get into too.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on there.
So you got snow in Malibu. Look at that. Got to be careful going down those streets there. Winter storm brings rare snow to Malibu. Yet, they say, last year was the hottest on record, and then they'll revise it and say it's the third hottest, and then they'll revise it and say it's, actually about average.
I know this must have really caught these folks off guard.
Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. So, guys, as always, be prepared out there because we never know what's going to happen. Prepare mentally, spiritually, in every single way you could. Thank you for being part of the family. Make sure you're subscribed, and thanks for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.